announcement. And that is that Football for Kids has hit a humongous milestone. And that is, Football for Kids has been listened to over 1 million times. 1 million! I can't quite believe it myself. So firstly, a massive thank you to every single one of you that listens to the podcast, but also has shared it with their football-loving friends and family. Without you lot, it wouldn't have hit that massive number of 1 million downloads. Now, before you hear the sound of the music, towards the end of last year, the year of 2023, I ran a competition. And that was for you lot, the brilliant listeners of the podcast, to design some Football for Kids football tops. Now, I could only pick one winner. And I said that when we hit 1 million downloads, the winning design would be created into an actual top, and then it would be released for you lot to buy and wear and to be a part of the Football for Kids team. Now we've hit that magic number of 1 million, I'm speaking to a company who are in the process of getting that design done. And hopefully, in the next few weeks, I shall have some more information on how you can become a part of a team and get yourself a Football for Kids top. Right, cue the music. Hello and welcome to the Football for Kids podcast with me, Darren Rees. In this episode, we are going to be speaking about football siblings. Oh, and before we go any further, just in case you're not sure what a sibling is, that means a brother or a sister. Football is the most played, watched and attended sport in the whole world, followed by cricket. Because of how many people play football, it means it is very tough to make it to the level where you can play football at a professional level. And that's why, in the stories which we learn about on the podcast, the one thing which those that have made it have never done is give up. And you must always remember that. No matter how hard something is, keep going and don't ever give up. Because becoming a professional footballer is pretty hard, when you get two people from the same family in the same house who make it to become professional footballers, that is pretty awesome stuff. But it's got me thinking, do you have a sibling who loves football too? You might listen to the podcast together. You might play football together, in the same team or different teams. Maybe you and your siblings will grow up to be professional footballers together. Well, here's some inspiration for you as we look at some of football's professional siblings from over the years. Before we do that, thank you so much to everyone who's been hitting the follow button and leaving 5-star reviews on the podcast. I cannot tell you how much it helps when you do that. And Football for Kids, because of you lot, is now in the top 20 of the Apple podcast charts under the Kids and Family section. A few of your 5-star reviews. The first 5-star review says best pod in the world, 5 stars. Well, thank you very much. It says, Dear Darren, my name is Charlie and I am 8 years old and I love the pod, 5 stars. Can you do an episode on Rangers and the Stadium Ibrox? Also, Messi is the GOAT. The next one gives it 5 stars and has a headline of the podcast ever. Says, can I have a shout out please and my football team, Gosport Borough, and to my brother. Well, a massive shout out to you and to everybody at Gosport Borough and of course to your brother. Thank you for your 5-star review. And the last one says Chelsea, then 5 stars. Dear Darren, please can you do an episode on Sterling, Thiago Silva and just Chelsea in general? Well, to whoever that was, Chelsea, Thiago Silva and Sterling are all on my list of episodes which I need to write. Thank you so much for giving the podcast a 5-star review, and thank you for listening. We've also got a happy birthday to do, and that is to Benny in Cardiff. A huge happy birthday to you, Benny, who will be 8 on the 19th of February. Benny loves the podcast and listens every single night. He's a big Liverpool fan and loved the episode which I did on Mo Salah. He would love for me to do an episode on Fernando Torres. So a huge shout out to you, Benny, and your team Heath Park Rangers Reds under 8s, and to your coaches as well. And that happy birthday message and shout out comes in courtesy of your mum, your dad and your little brother Ronan. Right then, let's get into the episode on football's siblings. Let's kick things off with one of England's most successful football sibling duos, and that, of course, was the brilliant Jack and Bobby Charlton. There's an episode on Football for Kids about Sir Bobby Charlton where you can learn a lot about his story and his career. But in case you haven't listened to that episode yet, or you need a reminder, Sir Bobby Charlton was a footballing legend. He played over 600 games for Manchester United before finishing his career at Preston North End and at a range of other clubs overseas. He was a part of the 1966 team that won the World Cup with England. And guess who else was in that team? In that World Cup winning team? Yep, you got it. It was his brother, Jack Charlton. Jack was a Leeds United legend, playing over 600 games for them, winning both the league and the FA Cup. Jack also went on to have a long and successful managerial career, winning the league with Middlesbrough, getting Sheffield Wednesday promoted, and being awarded the English Manager of the Year. Both Bobby and Jack did great things for football. They were both World Cup winners, and they are still being spoken about decades after their last matches as senior players. Pretty phenomenal stuff to have that level of success with two brothers in the same family from the same house. An episode on Jack Charlton is on the list, don't you worry. Next up, Diego and Hugo Maradona. Did you know that Diego Maradona had a footballing brother? Hopefully, you've listened to the episodes on Maradona, and I'm sure you're aware of what he did for football. Just in case you've forgotten, a quick reminder. He was a legend of Argentinian football, both at a club level and for the country's national side. He won trophies in the Argentinian top division, and he won major trophies with Barcelona, Napoli, and of course the World Cup with Argentina. Diego Maradona made it to the top of the footballing world and is named by many as the greatest player who ever lived. Diego's footballing brother, Hugo Maradona, didn't quite make it to the levels that Diego did, but he still played at a very decent level. He represented his country of Argentina as a youth player, and he also played for a top team in Argentina. Hugo also played for good teams across Italy, Uruguay, Japan and Austria. So there's one brother who conquered the footballing world in every possible way, and then there's another who played at a very high standard across South America, Asia and Europe. Not bad considering they're both from the same family and the same house. Let's look at some siblings who are more current, and let's look at the Bellingham brothers. Jude Bellingham and Job Bellingham. Hopefully, you would have had the chance to listen to the episode that I did on Jude Bellingham a little while ago. Just in case you haven't, a few highlights to sum up Jude Bellingham's career so far. So to start with, Jude is currently only 20 years old, and he is one of the top players in the England first team. He's played in the Championship with Birmingham, in the German Bundesliga with Borussia Dortmund, and he's now playing with one of the most successful clubs in the world, Real Madrid. In his first season, he's not only the top scorer for his team this season, but he's the top scorer in the Spanish top division. In his first 5 games for Real, Jude scored 5 goals and got an assist, which is exactly the same start that Cristiano Ronaldo had at Real Madrid. Jude Bellingham may well be one of the greatest players England will ever see. And I know that's a bit bold to say for someone so early on in their career, but what he's achieved so far is truly sensational. To have one top player in a family, like Jude, is pretty exceptional, but the Bellinghams haven't stopped there. Job, Jude's younger brother, is a very good and promising player too. Job Bellingham, at 15 years old, was selected for Birmingham's first team when they were playing in the EFL Cup. Although Job didn't come off the bench, it was the fact that he was selected as an option and could have come off at any point. At 15 years old. How incredible is that? Job is now 18 years old and is playing for his second championship side. He's also represented England in the under-16s, the under-17s, the under-18s and the under-19s. Job Bellingham clearly has a huge future ahead. So the Bellingham brothers, lighting up pitches across the UK and Spain, are both under 21 and from the same household. Unbelievable stuff. I find it amazing when you get 2 or more people from the same family living in the same home that make it to play football at the levels we have spoken about today. And we've only spoken about a few of them. If I did a part 2, which siblings would you want to be spoken about on the podcast? You can leave a review on Apple Podcasts and let me know there, or you can reply to this episode if you're listening on Spotify, or ask an adult to send an email to footballforkidspodcast@gmail.com. The email address is in the description of this episode. So remember, if you know someone who loves football just as much as you do, then please tell them about Football for Kids. And whether you're playing football soon, watching it on the telly, or pitch side, I hope that you enjoy the game. See you next time. Oh, and one last bit of information before the episode ends. You've probably noticed that there haven't been any shout-outs from your emails of recent times. And that is simply because there's just so many of them coming in. I'm talking about hundreds, maybe even thousands of them coming in, which is absolutely fantastic. But to make things easier, there will be a Football for Kids website launching in the not-so-distant future. And there will be a new place to submit your shout-outs and your requests on that. There'll be more information about that in the next few episodes. See you soon.